Now, back to the golf balls of last week. So, see this right here? It's the outer cover of a golf ball. Kind of crazy looking. Look at that. You can see how it's not real thick, but on the inside was the ball. It's a rubber band. Look at this. This whole thing is a giant ball of rubber bands. And it goes around and around and around and around and around. Kind of wild, huh? You can see all those rubber bands. So they wound this ball with rubber bands. So there's a ball that was in the middle, and they wind and wind and wind and wind and wind. Let me drop this down a little bit here so you can see a little better. Now, and you can unwind this whole thing. And by next week, I'm going to show you guys the ball that's in the middle, because this whole thing is going to unravel. It's going to make an awful mess, which I may get in trouble for, but that's okay. I'll clean it up because I'm responsible. I'm responsible sometimes. Ha ha. All right, so pretty cool. So this is how golf balls were made way back when. There's a core in the middle. They wrapped all these rubber bands around it. They put a cover on it, and boom, went out and played it. Now, the cover's pretty soft. Now, what would happen if you could hit it with a wedge? If you didn't hit it really flush, if you caught it with the leading edge of the wedge, you would put a big smiley face in the ball, and the ball was no good to play anymore because it wouldn't fly very good and wasn't round anymore. So very interesting about how the golf ball was constructed. Now, see this right here? These are spikes. These are what used to go in the bottom of your golf shoe. There were 14 of these in the bottom of your golf shoe. Could you imagine how much you could scrape up a green if you drug your feet? So people who didn't pick up their feet really damaged the green. So metal spikes. They look like little, tops to spin around now. But these were on the bottom of your shoe. So as you went walking through the parking lot, I always thought it was kind of cool. I like the sound of it because you get this clanky sound going through the parking lot. Pretty cool. Now, back when you had these kind of golf balls, you played with wooden clubs. This is a driver, the #1 wood. This is a power-built citation driver. This part right here is a plastic insert that has screws in it. So when somebody was a really good driver that always hit it right here in the center of the club face, they always said you were hitting it in the screws. And that's why, because as you can see, those are screws in there. Now, like I said, this driver has never, ever been hit. Pretty cool. Now, this stuff right here, it's a plasticky type of a little wire or string. It's called whipping. So it made to go from the shaft all the way into the head of the club made it look more smooth. So this is called whipping. There's a trivia question for you. You may get asked one day. So this is called whipping. This is a driver. Now, the drivers today, drivers today don't have whipping. They have this little piece here, this little plastic piece, and this is called a ferrule. And the ferrule makes it smooth from the shaft into the head of the club as well. Now take a look at this. It's kind of crazy. Look at the size difference in these two. That's pretty dramatic right there. I mean, this thing is huge. Look at this. You had to be really good to hit the center of that club face. You got this big old gigantic Titanic, and you got this little rowboat over here. My goodness. You guys had it easy. So those wooden clubs, the guys that used to play that, you think back that, man, they shot some really good scores and did all that with those little clubs like that. Had to be pretty good. Now, quick question for you. Does anybody know who has won the most major championships in the history of golf?
Jack Nicklaus.
Jack Nicklaus. Good answer. Good answer. Do you know how many majors he has? Does anybody know how many major championships Jack Nicklaus has won?
$23.
No. I think he finished second 22 or 23 times. He has 18 major championships. 18. Tiger Woods, I believe, has 16, so he's still got a couple to catch him. So if Tiger Woods were to win 3 more majors and he didn't win any other tournaments, he would have the most major championships ever, and he would have the most PGA Tour wins ever, because he would pass a guy by the name of Sam Snead. So when Nicklaus was playing in his prime, there were two other guys that were considered the big three of golf. And they had a big TV series called The Big Three that was Jack Nicklaus, the King, Arnold Palmer, and Gary Player. So those guys would go around playing matches and stuff, but those were the big three players. And over like a 7-year stretch, one of those three guys won the Masters like each year in that stretch of years. That's pretty cool. So what I suggest you do is go back and look these guys up. You can YouTube them. You can see all kinds of historical videos and pictures of their swing and stuff. So that's pretty cool. You guys have this amazing technology to go back and look at what these older guys used to do. And it's pretty incredible. And they were using those tiny little wooden drivers like that. But before Nicklaus, Palmer, and Player, the great three were Sam Snead, who I said has the most PGA Tour wins ever. It was Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan. So Sam Snead was a great player, super flexible. The guy could actually literally stand there and kick the ceiling, like an 8-foot ceiling with his foot. That's crazy. Super flexible. Byron Nelson was one of the greatest gentlemen to ever play the game. And Byron Nelson won 11 straight tournaments in one PGA Tour season. 11 straight. Like, that's 11 straight weeks that he played golf that he won the tournament. That's amazing. I think the closest person to come to him was like Tiger, and he had 5. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So Byron Nelson won 11 straight, and he won 19 tournaments that year. That's incredible. If you won 19 tournaments in a year now, holy cow. I mean, you're talking $30 to $40 million you would win in one season. That's crazy. And then the third person in that whole little threesome there, the last threesome we're talking about here is Ben Hogan. Now, Ben Hogan he was a short guy. He was about 5'8", 140 pounds soaking wet, but he was tenacious. He was a great competitor, very focused. He was so focused on what he was doing, they called him the Hawk. They called him the Wee Iceman. Well, back to earlier, I talked about a story about perseverance. Well, here's your story. Ben Hogan was traveling back to Texas, where he's from. Matter of fact, Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson used to work at the same country club as kids caddying when they were younger. So he's driving back, big old car, big steering wheel, and he's driving down the road, and it's kind of foggy out late at night, and here comes a bus coming in the opposite direction. Well, the bus driver was falling asleep. His bus came across into Ben Hogan's lane. So Ben Hogan sees this, and he throws himself across the front seat of the car, across his wife, to save his wife. And by doing that, it actually saved his life, because the steering wheel went right through the seat where he was just sitting. Wow. I mean, he's worried about his wife. So he dove across her, but his legs were really messed up after that. So when he's finally awoke in the hospital, the doctor said, "Mr. Hogan, we hate to inform you, but you're never going to walk again." Wow. But Ben Hogan's like, in his mind goes, I don't care what you say, I'm going to walk again. And not only am I going to walk again, I'm going to play golf again, and I'm going to play championship golf again. So once he got out of the hospital, he would go out to the golf course, and he would practice, and he would practice. His legs would be wrapped up. He'd have to come home and ice them and stuff. But he was determined. He wasn't going to let anybody else determine his fate but him. And he had the perseverance to go out there and keep trying. So this was probably, I think, in 1951 is when he was in an accident. In 1953, he won the first 3 legs of the Grand Slam. He won the Masters, he won the U.S. Open, and he only ever played in one British Open, and that was the one he won. So he went across the ocean, played at a course called Carnoustie, which is considered one of the toughest golf courses in the world, and he won there. So he won the first 3 legs of the Grand Slam that year. So
Ben Hogan.
Ben Hogan.
Yeah, Ben Hogan also makes clubs like he used to.
He used to. Yep, he did. The Ben Hogan Company. Matter of fact, I know a guy who used to be the vice president of that company, and, you know, they made great golf clubs, really did. But that's a really great story of perseverance. That guy said, you cannot tell me that I can't do something because I believe in me and I know what I can do, and I'm going to get back out there and play golf, and he did. So that's a pretty awesome story. Great way of showing perseverance. So anybody have any questions about that? Kind of wild looking, huh? Whoa, there it goes. It's like the meatball that fell off the table. So we're going to try to unravel this thing as quick as possible. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, this it's nothing but it's a giant rubber band. And they would wind it and wind it and wind it and wind it. Next thing you know, you got a golf ball. They put a cover on it, sealed the cover, and then you went and played. And back then, let me tell you a story, and here's part of the rules. If your golf ball is no longer round, it is unplayable. It's unfit for play, and you can substitute a new golf ball at no penalty. Back then, these golf balls would get out of round. They would get oblong. And if any of you had ever heard of a guy named John Daly, this guy could really hit a golf ball a long way. Well, he used to say that every time he hit his driver, that golf ball was out of wound because he hit it so hard. Whether that's true or not, yet to be seen. But you could make a ball kind of oblong, and they wouldn't be completely round anymore, and you had to take it out of play. Anybody got any questions for me? Go look up all those players. Now, if I got any ladies on here, ladies, go look up a lady by the name of Babe Zaharis. You want to talk about an amazing player? She was incredible. She was a fabulous athlete at all sports. I mean, she did track and field. She did all kinds of things, but she was a great golfer too, and she could hit the ball a long way. Matter of fact, she was so good, she went and played against the guys one time. So pretty cool stuff. Look them up. Learn your history about golf. Learn about the great players and what they did, because there's a lot of amazing stories, especially of the old-timers out there way back when and how they played the game and under the conditions they played in. So look it up, and then we will be back here again next week for Week 11. Week 11. Can you believe it? Be on the lookout. Remember, if you missed anything, go back. YouTube channel for First Tee of Greater Charlotte. You can catch up anything that you might have missed. And if you forget any of the things we talked about today, you can go back and look at today's episode, and you can write down those names, YouTube them, and see what those guys are about. And hopefully this rain will get out of here pretty quick so we can have a nice Memorial weekend, right? Everybody wants a good weekend, get out in sunshine. So make sure you're doing that. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, then we will see everybody next week.
Indeed, indeed.
Anybody?
No questions? What's going on with the kids this week, Coach B?
You guys are awful quiet. You must be sleepy with this weather out here. I think everybody's waiting to see me unravel this golf ball.
It's going to take you like an hour to unravel it.
I know. I should have just cut it. Pretty wild. Oh, man, this thing's getting wild. Wild. So next week when you show up, I'm going to show you the ball that's in the middle. That way we don't have to sit here and watch me unravel this thing. So have a great weekend. See everybody next week. Have a great weekend. Hope everybody has a good cookout too. See everybody.